Hi guys, it's Sam with Spieler Custom Baits, and today we're going to be tying a football jig. We're going to be using this 3/8 ounce jig head with a weed guard. Cast these with a mustad 4/0 hook, and we're going to start off just by pulling that weed guard back a little bit just to give us some room as we start our tie-in around the neck of this jig. I also made this jig head with a custom paint job using a vinyl paint color set. Cut off our tag end here. And I'm doing this jig in a version of blue Craw, or a version of kind of like an Okeechobee cross type style. I'm going to be using this Craw colored skirting material. These tabs are Craw with a hint of blue in them. And while tying these in, we want to make sure that they're laying flat as we get these initial wraps in. And we're going to go ahead and grab another tab of the exact same color, and we're going to put it on the other side of this jig. These are great anywhere you're going to want to throw that Okeechobee Craw style color wise. Once we have that kind of where we want it placed out, I'm going to hold back this skirting material, and we're going to get a couple of wraps around the collar of this jig. Now we're going to go ahead, grab some of our blue skirt. This blue skirting material has bands in it. We're going to move our material holder a little bit. We're going to put that right in there. And we're going to be lining this right along the back side of the jig. Pulling that skirting material back. Get a few wraps in. And we're going to rearrange that skirting material back to where we want it to be on the jig. Now that we have it where we want it, we're going to go ahead and lock that in a little bit, making sure it's positioned the way that we like. And I'm going to add one more tab on the top side as well. And the reasoning why I add the blue in after the crawl is because when you end up cutting your skirting material and it flows back, it'll actually put that brown a little bit before the blue, kind of muting that color out a little bit. Get a couple good wraps on there. Arrange it to where we want it to sit. Then we're going to tie that in. And you want to be careful while you're tying this in that you're not hitting that weed guard too hard, because it will fray your line and break off your tie. Just kind of rearranging the skirt to where I want it to sit on that jig. And continuing the tie-in. And you want these ties to be firm, but not so tight that you cut your skirting material. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to whip finish this in. Because of the weed guard, I have to use my fingers here to kind of hold the string in place as we're getting these wraps in. making sure that that knot's tight, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a second one. And now that we have that tied in, making sure our skirting is where we want it, kind of making sure it's arranged correctly on there. Once we have that, I like to make a really firm pull on that just to make sure that that's all tied in and locked in really nice. Clip that off. And then we're going to go ahead and grab our wire, and we're going to go ahead and put a wire tie on this as well. Just going to get 4 quick wraps in, or 3, sorry. And then we're going to twist this into place. I like to twist until it sits firmly against the collar of the jig, but not so tight that it makes the wraps of the wire uneven. And once we have that on snugly, we're going to go ahead and cut this wire. I like to do it about 2 to 3 wraps, sometimes 4 depending on the wire, away from the collar of the jig, and that's just so that the wires don't become untwisted while they're being used. And there's our clip. You can see there's just a little bit hanging off there. And then I'll take some needle nose pliers. I'm going to bend that up. And then I'm going to take that and I'm going to push those flush against that collar. That way it's out of the way of your skirting material and won't cut into your skirting. Rub my finger over it just to make sure there's no sharp edges or anything like that. And then now we can cut our skirting material. Now on the front end as well. I like to pull back just a little bit on those tabs, just so it gets out of the way of any of the other material, and it cuts in the spring back from the actual silicone. Makes it look pretty good. And there you have it. Our finished football jig in that nice blue colorways. These will do great for bass. Thank you guys for watching.